And welcome to the Huddle, KGA Night's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr on my way back from Las Vegas. Just hear a little ambient noise. I'm at a restaurant now, actually, but didn't want to miss this Huddle after that game last night. Pat Paris, good afternoon. How are you?
Jason, I'm doing really well. Big win last night. They look tremendous. I'm glad I'm here. I wish I were there in Vegas when you were there last night, but I'm glad I'm not only halfway back at this point. Well, you're a little bit more than halfway back. Let's put it that way. But still, I'm glad.
Oh no, I'll have bad traffic. It's good. There's no way to get around. No way to get to the other side of Phoenix. Okay?
Exactly.
Getting bad traffic. I'm on the other side of Phoenix right now. Hey Pat, to go in there in Las Vegas and knock off the defending national champions, to put 50 points in the first half, 93-87 the final, but not just that. Koa Pete with a 30-point, 7-rebound, 5-assist performance in his debut. He does not look like a freshman physically. He also does not look like a freshman the way he carries himself. And somebody asked him after the game, hey, did your USA, winning gold medals with international competition help or prepare you for these big moments? I don't know if that has anything to do with it. This is a guy who looks like he's been in a big moment for a long time.
Yeah, the pressure didn't get to him. What was so impressive, Jason, is each team each year is a little different. So we didn't expect Florida to be, national championship ready in the first game. But this is still a defending national champion with a front court. Their three bigs are supposed to be the top, trio in the nation. And Koa Pete made them look not very good. And that's only because Koa Pete looks so good. I'm not saying Florida's not good. They are. But he made them look kind of average. And that's how good I think Koa Pete can be. And we certainly saw it last night.
There's a lot to unpack. We'll get to more of Koa Pete. We'll get to Korchenkov. Let's go to the Huddle poll question here. We do this at the beginning of each show and then kind of look at the answers towards the end of it. It's our Huddle poll question for this week. It has to do with Arizona basketball. And I believe this week's question has to do with how far fans now think they're going to get after beating the defending champions now in Las Vegas to start the season with that 93-87 win. And you got a few choices there of whether you can go to our account on X or on KGA9.com and click on /poll. I can't see the
Here I'll give them to you, Jason, because we can't see it on the graphic. But it's Final Four or better, Elite Eight, Sweet 16, or early exit. And I can tell you right now, just in the very early voting, of course, Final Four is doing pretty well. So is Sweet 16, Elite Eight, not as much. And nobody has an early exit right now. I don't know why you'd say they have an early exit. Certainly some of the deficiencies.
I put that one in there.
Yeah, and you have to put it in there. But I think you'd have to be a real curmudgeon to not think Arizona has got it, potentially. We went into the season thinking this might be the best team Tommy Lloyd's had, just because of the freshmen and then because of the returning upperclassmen, especially Jaden Bradley. But you have to bear it out. It's one game. We can't put the crown on their head first time since 1997. We can't do that yet. But it certainly does give us a lot of optimism, I would think, about what this team can be, because we saw what they look like in game one against the defending national champions.
Right. So we can't get too down about Braden Burry's performance. And if we're not going to get too down about that, because he did look like a freshman last night, we don't want to get too high, for Koa Pete, because maybe he only scores 7 or 8 points against Utah Tech, on Friday night. So
that might be because his minutes are limited or something.
Right,
right.
I'll say this. I said this to you on the phone when we were doing a little prep work a few minutes ago. Everybody wanted to know, when's Jim Boeheim going to win a national championship? When is he going to finally win one with Syracuse? We know what the answer was when Carmelo Anthony came he was a freshman and then won it in New Orleans. Okay, well, when's Arizona going to get back to the Final Four? When's Arizona going to get over the hump? Well, maybe it's when they get Koa Pete. So let's see. But the other player, Pat, very interesting, Ivan Korchenkov. Where did that come from? I didn't know he was even going to be a rotation player going into this year. Then going into the season, I thought maybe he would be that 8th guy. Pat, this is a starter and a guy who is ready to play now.
He played the third most minutes, only we're talking less than a minute fewer, less than 60 seconds fewer than Jaden Bradley and Koa Pete. So he played almost as much as the two stars of this team.
I didn't want him out of the game for some points. Yeah,
he is He is one of those guys that brings his lunch pail to work with him, it looks like. And that's not to say that
He
he's
got
not.
fired up. I don't know if the TV camera, I was there. I don't know if the TV camera caught him going like this.
Yeah.
He was fired up.
Yeah. And he's a guy that brings energy. He's a guy that brings defense. He's a guy that brings a 3-point shot. He's a guy that he brings a lot. It's a different skill set than a Jaden Bradley. It's certainly a different skill set than a Koa Pete, but it's a skill set that's much needed when you're trying to figure out how a team fits together. And it's one game, and they still have a daunting non-conference schedule. Not the next two, Utah Tech and Northern Arizona.
No,
but you got
UCLA are coming up.
UCLA, then UConn,
Yep.
couple of easy games, then Auburn. So to me, it's just how quickly they've come together in one game. Yes, one game, but it was a very important game, and it was an important win. I think it's been impressive what this team has become very quickly with, basically, when you look at that starting five, we knew Jaden Bradley, we knew Mo Krivas, and obviously Awaka, and there would all be in the mix. But then to have the other handful of guys that are freshmen that are going to make, you're right, Braden Burris is going to make more of an impact than he did last night. Karchenkov's going to continue to make an impact, and Koa Pete, sky's the limit with him.
I know that Tommy Lloyd says we're a program that doesn't worry about who the starters are, but to start a freshman over a senior, Karchenkov over Del Orso, takes a little bit of cojones to do that.
Yeah.
Now, he made some comments about Karchenkov after the game. First off, I do think he is a year older, and he was playing in the EuroLeague last year. So this is not a true freshman situation. Also, apparently, and Tommy Lloyd talked about this, I want to get this accurate. He was coached by the same coach that Luka Doncic had, apparently.
Yeah, I've heard that too, right.
And Tommy Lloyd called that coach and said, how ready is Karchenkov? And the coach said to Karchenkov, the coach said to Tommy Lloyd about Karchenkov, he will be ready right away. And there were some whispers, Pat, over the summer when I was around the program, summer practice, and a couple of the get-togethers where you heard some things like, hey, pay attention to him.
Pay attention to this kid.
Pay attention to Karchenkov. I'm like, no, you always say that. He's a project. No. This guy, I hope it wasn't a one-game thing because I do like Del Orso coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I do like Del Orso with the three-pointers coming off the bench. So I do like that lineup. The other thing that was interesting, Pat, so it seems like Aristote is kind of that eighth guy, Evan Nelson being the ninth guy. Evan Nelson did not get in the game. Not only did he shorten the bench there, and not play 9 guys. And Tommy Lloyd has never played 9 guys, so I'm not surprised. He will at Utah Tech from Friday night.
Sure.
He will do that. But he shortened the bench late in the game. He was only going with 7 guys. And even Aristote, I don't think, saw a lot of minutes late in the second half. It was 7 guys, meaning the additional big Awaka and Krivas, and then the additional one, either Del Orso or Karchenkov. Or Burris. Yeah. Burris didn't play a ton either.
No, and you look at the minutes, and you're exactly right. You're talking about Dwayne Aristote only played 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Anthony Del Orso, despite the fact that he didn't start, he still played 28 minutes.
Yeah.
So he did get minutes. But a couple of those guys like Braden Burris, less than 17 minutes of playing time. Tobe Awaka, of course, foul trouble, 15,
It wasn't
50.
falling early for Burris, and he didn't get into a rhythm ever.
That's
the
problem.
A couple of more shots, and then it just kind of never got into it. For a minute there, I thought he was going to do an Alonzo Trier and have a quiet first half and a big second half, which is something Trier always did. And
that's right.
It reminds me a little bit of Trier's, but no, Karchenkov looked ready.
Yeah, Karchenkov was ready. Pete was obviously ready. I think that what you're speaking to is really the depth that's even more so than we. There's a reason why Tommy likes playing 8 guys. He trusts 8 guys, or he thinks 8 guys are ready. I'm fine with him playing 8. I know you'd like to see him play 9. But the bottom line is,
I don't know that it has to do with only 8 being ready. I just think that's the rhythm he feels. Guys are maybe too much on the bench for too long a period of time. He's never played 9 guys, Pat.
Right.
And actually, that year that lost to Princeton, he only played 7.
Right, and that got him in trouble. But that actually goes to my point that I was going to make, and that is, when you're playing 7 or 8, those 7 or 8 better be really good. And to this point, sometimes we get down to that bottom 7 or 8th guy, and then you're like, well, they'll get some minutes, but how much are they going to contribute? There's 8 guys here that are going to contribute, Jason. This is the most depth of those 8 guys that we've seen with Arizona, in my estimation. I don't know, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think not only is the top tier players got a potential to be even better than we've seen, but I think the 1 through 8 seems to be better as well.
Jason Barr, Pat Paris is the Huddle, King of Night's weekly streaming sports talk show. Plus, Jaden Bradley looked like a senior, and they got to the rim and they attacked the basket. And I think they went to the free throw line 38 times. And that's something Todd Golden said after the game, the Florida coach, that you cannot let that happen. But Arizona was attacking the rim. I believe the stat, Pat, was 38 free throws and only 5 3-point attempts.
That's right.
I'm not mistaken. They need to get a couple more from Del Orso there, but sometimes you have to take what the game is giving you.
That's right. That's exactly right. They were 2 for 5 behind 3, which that percentage you'll take. But what you need is a few more attempts, and they'll get a few more attempts. But why go away from what was working? What was working so well when you have a Koa Pete who's not afraid to go into the middle, get into heavy traffic, and then turn around and hit a fadeaway like he did a couple of times. You're going to take that all day long. I thought it was interesting. You were busy grabbing post-game reaction and things, but on the later last night on the TNT broadcast, they continued to talk about the Arizona game even after the BYU game was finished up, because they were so impressed with Koa Pete and with Arizona, and they just kept talking about Arizona's ability to get the ball inside, to drive inside, and the athleticism of Koa Pete. And they went on and on and on, and I think even a guy like Bruce Pearl, who's now on their post-game show as his son's now coaching Auburn, he was, he looked at Koa Pete as a guy that got away. And in fact, when they interviewed Koa Pete live on their broadcast, he basically said, "Don't you remember they went to some foreign country to try to recruit him as they were on one of those trips?" And Koa Pete said, "Oh, I remember," but he never gave Auburn a chance. He gave Arizona the chance.
Interesting. All right, we'll get back to Arizona basketball at the end, but we want to touch on Arizona football, Pat, which we talked a lot about last couple weeks, and they do go to Colorado and get that big 52-17 win. I don't know how Colorado got so bad so fast with these last 2 games, but at least Arizona did not play down to Colorado's level. You do what you do to a bad team, and that's blow them out. And give Arizona credit for doing that and getting the turnovers and having the offense, I think, at 50-something points. I think they got to 52 points by the third quarter when Noah Fafita came out of the game. And when he came out of the game changed. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. That's another topic. But they did what they had to do. They're 5-3. If they can beat Kansas, they can be 6-3 and already have a big success this season by being bowl eligible.
Yeah, and Noah Fafita really only played 2.5 quarters, right? And he threw for 213 yards, 4 touchdowns in 2.5 quarters. And the defense, yes, Colorado was awful. They were awful. They were lucky to get
those quarterbacks may never see the field again. I think
exactly.
Going
and the 5 turnovers just show you that when Arizona's defense is kind of clicking, they can get turnovers. We've seen that all year. When the defense gets turnovers, they win games. When they don't get turnovers, they don't win games. So that was key. I look at it like you probably had more to lose from this game for Arizona than you did to win the game. But I sure as heck would rather have a 52-17 win against Colorado and feel really good about myself than the alternative. Let's say, an old Arizona team of the past several years, or, go back 5-7 years, they would have just struggled and still barely beaten a bad team, or maybe not even win that game. So I look at this as another good positive step in a program that's growing, that's building, and they did nothing to change my mind about that.
Well, I think there's some top tier teams in the Big 12. I think there's some bottom tier teams, and I think Arizona's somewhere in between there. I wonder, he did bring out Fafita and bring in Braden Locke kind of early. The game's not over mid-third quarter.
You froze up there for a second, Jason. I'm not sure where you were going with that. We'll try to get Jason back here in a second. I know he was. Jason is gonna. He had talked to me about the fact that he wanted to. There you are. You're back, Jason. You're back.
Okay. I didn't log off. I just must have froze for a second.
Yeah, you froze.
I'm in a restaurant, and they were pushing in chairs, and that's what the noise was for a second.
Okay.
But Pat, I was wondering, did they take out Fafita early because they wanted to protect him from injury, or did they take out Fafita early because they wanted to get Braden Locke a little bit of experience just in case? Because we saw how important backup QB is with ASU, and Braden Locke has struggled this year, and he did not look good. Well,
Well,
he was 0 for 6, and he's throwing the ball to the other team,
yeah.
Pat.
I'll say this: you do it for both of those reasons. You do it exactly why you saw Jaden Daniels stay in a game way too long the other night and ended up dislocating his elbow for the Commanders, and he shouldn't have been in that game. You take him out for that reason. When the game's so comfortably in hand, you do not want to get your star player hurt. Make no mistake about it, Jason. Noah Fafita is a premier quarterback in the Big 12. Does that mean he's a Heisman Trophy candidate? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is he is one of the top handful of quarterbacks in a very good league in the Big 12. Would he be this good in the SEC, Big 10? Who cares? We're not talking about that. But what I'm saying is you got to protect him at all costs. Am I worried that Locke didn't have a great game? No, I could care less. You will win games because of Noah Fafita. You will lose games if Noah Fafita is injured and not healthy. It doesn't matter who the backup is. So you can have your argument all you want. I don't care. Noah Fafita is your guy. He's going to be your guy this year and next year, and you got to run with him while you have him.
All right, Pat, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, because I just got a message that my internet went out, but you can hear me okay.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, yeah, I heard what you're saying about the quarterback situation. You know, Locke is a guy who played at Wisconsin last year, started a bunch of games. I don't know why he's struggling this much. The only quarterback he has any type of rhythm with, only wide receiver has any type of rhythm with is Gio Richardson, probably because they practiced together on the second team. But it's an issue. I think they got to get him a little bit in rhythm. I don't know if Brendan was asked about that. I'm on the road here, but that was one of my takeaways from that game is that they got an issue of backup quarterback. Just hopefully this doesn't become an issue.
Well, and I look at it like almost like you were saying about Tommy Lloyd only going 8 deep and not 9 or more deep because that ninth guy probably comes off the bench cold all the time. I got to give the kind of give the nod to the theory that Locke was just not sharp because he hasn't really seen the field, and and it just doesn't matter. What matters is if he was pressed in that position and you give him some time, would he get up to speed? I would think the answer is yes, but we'll never know because I don't think we're going to, hopefully, knock on wood, we're not going to see Noah Fafita go out of a game except in a blowout win or a blowout loss, and hopefully it's not a blowout loss.
Whenever a sportscaster, I think, doesn't do great, it kind of makes me feel almost a little bit better because I know that I'm not perfect, right? And so when Tim Brando was 4-3. Said Arizona was 4-3. Arizona. Our producer Ryan's calling me right now, so I don't know. Can you hear me okay, Pat?
I hear you fine.
Okay, because he's calling me.
Yep.
When Tim Brando said Arizona was 4-4 in the pre-show, stand-ups that they do, when Arizona was 4-3, and then he repeats that mistake, and then he says something as a pick six when it wasn't. He was always going for a pick six when the guy was tackled 10 yards before the pick six, and he kind of turned the second half into a little bit of a joke. I know it's tough when it's a blowout for those announcers.
It's tough.
But I don't, this is a legendary college football broadcaster. Pat, am I off base here? Did you notice anything?
I know what you're saying. I didn't come away with that feeling, but I understand why you may have. What came across to me was here's two broadcasters, one of them, a legendary broadcaster, who came in with this mindset that we're going to talk up Colorado and Deion Sanders and talk about a program and focus on that. And then things fell apart for them so fast they had nothing left to talk about. So the second half was unwatchable from a broadcast standpoint because I don't think they were ready to talk about Arizona that much. And I don't think they were ready to tell everybody how bad Colorado was. And I think that I think that they were ill prepared for a game that was a blowout like it was, and they should have been because Colorado was awful the week before. They were awful this past Saturday. I don't know what they were expecting, but I think they were expecting a competitive game where they could talk up everything they learned from Deion Sanders.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. So was it tough to sit through that? I mean, I had to watch the second half because I have to watch, every play that happens with Arizona football, so I know what's going on. But that was a tough second half to watch.
Yeah, it really was.
Better it be the Arizona blowing Colorado out, and that'd be a tough way to watch the second half than what we saw when Kevin Sumlin's team was getting blown out on the road every single game. So
they've come a long way from that.
Beat Kansas this week, become bowl eligible, and then we could have a little fun the last few weeks.
Right. Then it's gravy after
A
that.
little bit of
Right.
pressure off the team because they weren't supposed to win more than 6 games. This year they were supposed to eke out 6 wins.
Right.
And even though ASU is playing with a backup quarterback, I still think that last game now is going to be still tough to win.
You don't want to.
I don't think
you
it's
don't want to
a
rest
definite
on
loss
that.
like I said it was before that quarterback before Levitt got hurt. I think it's not as difficult, but you don't want to go into that game 6-5, and I don't think they will be. I think they're going to get that win against Kansas this week and be 6-3, and maybe get another 1 or 2, before ASU. So
to me, Jason, this game Saturday, homecoming, always big. You want to win homecoming. You have Kansas coming in Saturday afternoon kickoff. To me, this is a lot like that Friday night Kansas State game, where Kansas is a little down, a little banged up. You figured you could maybe get a win there, and Arizona looked really good in the first half, and then ended up finding a way to win that game. I think this Kansas game is kind of the same way. You're the team that's probably a little better right now, Arizona is, but you got to prove it, and you've got to go out there and take it to them, and I think they will. I think that, there's a lot of motivation here for Arizona not to have a letdown, not to let this blowout win about Colorado turn into kind of lethargy, and I think they have to keep going strong and get the job done, and I think they will.
Let's touch on Arizona Cardinals for a quick second. I mentioned I was at a restaurant. A television over there, and the new breaking news banner comes across the bottom that they're going with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback at Seattle next week. I didn't see the game last night. Obviously, I'm watching the Wildcats. You are too. Maybe you caught a glimpse of it. I look at Brissett's numbers, and they're pretty good. But to me, Pat, it tells me there's another piece of the puzzle there, whether it's Kyler Murray's salary or work ethic or attitude. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But it's not like Brissett has been such lights out that you can't take him out of the game. To me, there's something else going on there with Kyler Murray that he's not going to be playing if he's healthy.
To me, it's if we get back to that lowest common denominator that you and I always say, that's not analytical at all. It's just the eye test. The eye test tells you that Jacoby Brissett is running that offense at a higher rate. Jacoby Brissett is giving him an opportunity to win.
Body language is important, Pat.
Yeah, and for Kyler Murray, it's been a rough go of it ever since he got that contract that a lot of people didn't think he deserved, me included. They had the language in there that mandated that he watch a certain amount of time of video each week. Then they took it out because it got out, it leaked out. I mean, those are the kind of little signs that tell you that Arizona was reluctantly giving him that massive contract, and yet they had issues, or they knew there were issues. And maybe it's just a time for, yes, they're going to say we're going to give him a little more time to heal. But I think really what it is, hey, we're winning games with Jacoby Brissett. Why should we upset things right now? Why should we change things right now? And until Jacoby Brissett were to get injured,
so did you hear that after the game? Because Adam Schefter's reporting this is Kyler Murray's foot.
After the game, all the head coach kept saying was, we're not going to change anything up. We're going to leave it the way it is right now. And he didn't say, we're doing it because, this was after the game, I say. He didn't say, we're doing it because Kyler Murray's not ready.
Right. You go by what the coach says.
To me, this is Kyler Murray's ready. If we give him another week, he'll be more ready, I guess. But
unless he's got some ligament issue. They haven't been very specific, I don't think.
No, and remember, he hit his head, too. A lot of people thought it was him slamming his head on the turf and it was a concussion thing. Then all of a sudden, no, it was a foot. To me, this is a convenient injury to keep Jacoby Brissett at quarterback while he's playing well and they're winning. To me, that's as simple as that.
All right, as we finish up here and circle back with our Huddle poll question, good luck to the Arizona triathlon team going for back-to-back national championships. It's going to be in Tempe this Saturday. It conflicts with the U of A football game, so I don't know how many eyeballs are going to be on it, but good luck to Kelly Wetland and Molly Lakustiak and Marguerite and Coach Wes Johnson and a few of the others as they try to make history in just the program's third year. All right, our Huddle poll question is, after last night's win against Florida in Las Vegas, now what are the do you now think Arizona's going to go in March? And a little recency bias there, Final Four better. I'm not sure that would have been I'm not sure that would have been the percentage last night if we had done it before the game at 61.5%.
No.
And no ASU fans on the broadcast here, as 0% says early exit, which does happen. The one way to prevent an early exit is to be so good you don't get upset, right?
Yeah.
That's the best way to prevent an early exit, and not play two bigs at the same time. That 3-pointer's being shot over you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, Jason. There's reason for excitement. I don't know if it's deserving of Final Four or better yet. I mean, there's still a long way to go. It's game one of what's going to be more than 30 games played throughout the season and the postseason. But the reason why 61.5% is voting that is because this was a big win. I don't think, we point back to a few years ago when they went and they started out the season and they beat Duke at Cameron. Well, this is the same kind of win. It might even be bigger because Duke wasn't quite Duke yet when they beat them at Cameron. Remember, they weren't quite where they are now as far as running out, top recruits. But Florida runs out top recruits. And, oh, by the way, they got several guys off the defending national championship team. So I think it's warranted that everybody's excited. We got a long way to go, though, before we can call this a Final Four team.
Yeah, I was a little nervous early when it was 24-12 and Xavier Lee had hit the 3-pointer. He played against Arizona for Princeton.
But they give them credit. They came right back twice in that second half. They had 9-point leads. They withstood the comeback. The key moment to me, Jason, was it was 70-70, just under 7 minutes to go. Koa Pete slams home the alley-oop one hand, goes down and grips a rebound out, gets it to Jaden Bradley, who goes up and then hands it off as he's going by down the lane, and he two-hand slams it. That 30-second span was one of the great moments you'll ever see in an season opener in the history of Arizona basketball. It was amazing.
I think his final stat line was 30 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The final stat line for Koa Pete.
Yep.
That's some kind of performance in the opener. So that I don't know if you remember, but at the summer practice they let me go to in August, I sent you a text, and the text was, "You're in for a real treat." I don't know if you remember that text.
Yep, I do remember you saying
you're in for a real treat. Yep. And because this Arizona team is good, and so far after one game they've shown that. All right, we'll be back next Tuesday, talk more Arizona basketball, Arizona football, whatever else is going on. This has been the Huddle, KGUN 9's weekly streaming sports talk show. For Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr, and exciting times for Arizona athletics. We'll see you right back here next Tuesday.